The truth reached Ethan without warning, slipping into his life on an ordinary evening and tearing it apart in seconds. The office party was meant to be a celebration. Music played softly, glasses clinked, and coworkers laughed as if nothing in the world could go wrong. Ethan stood near the window, watching the city lights outside, feeling proud. The project he had spent years building was finally being recognized. This moment was supposed to belong to him. Then he heard his name. It wasn't shouted. It wasn't dramatic. It was spoken casually with confidence, as if it meant nothing at all. "He won't notice," Marcus said. "He never checks the details. He trusts me." Ethan froze. His body reacted before his mind could catch up. His grip tightened around the glass in his hand. Marcus's voice continued, calm and amused, explaining how the final presentation would go, how leadership already believed the idea was his. Someone laughed softly in response, impressed. Ethan didn't turn around. He didn't need to. He knew Marcus's voice better than his own thoughts. Marcus was his closest friend at work. They had started together, struggled together, and promised to rise together. Or so Ethan believed. The room felt smaller. The music sounded distant, like it was playing underwater. Ethan's heart pounded, each beat pushing the truth deeper into him. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't confusion. This was planned. He walked away slowly, careful not to draw attention. Every step felt heavy, as if the floor resisted him. In the hallway, the air felt colder. He leaned against the wall, trying to steady his breathing. His mind raced, pulling memories apart and putting them back together in painful new ways. Late nights when Marcus insisted on handling certain files alone. Meetings where Marcus spoke a little too confidently. Compliments that never included Ethan's name. All made sense now. Ethan left the building without saying goodbye. Outside, the city was alive. Cars moving, people laughing, life continuing without pause. He stood there for a moment, staring at nothing, feeling as if something inside him had cracked. At home, the silence was loud. He dropped his keys on the table and sat on the couch, still wearing his jacket. His phone buzzed with messages from coworkers praising the party. Marcus's name appeared on the screen once, then again. Ethan didn't answer. He replayed the words over and over in his head. "He trusts me too much." Trust? The word felt sharp now, like an insult. Ethan had believed loyalty mattered. T believed effort spoke for itself. Key believed friendship meant something. Sleep never came. His thoughts refused to slow down. Anger mixed with disbelief, then turned into something darker and more focused. He imagined confronting Marcus, imagined shouting, imagined exposing everything in front of everyone. The idea brought a strange sense of comfort. By morning, exhaustion clung to him, but the anger stayed awake. At work, Ethan watched Marcus from across the room. Marcus greeted him like always, smiling, friendly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Big night, huh?" Marcus said. Ethan forced a nod. Up close, Marcus looked the same, relaxed, confident, untouched by guilt. That hurt more than the betrayal itself. The day moved fast. Emails, meetings, deadlines. Ethan did his job, but his mind was elsewhere. Every success felt stolen. Every compliment felt wrong. When Marcus spoke in meetings, Ethan noticed how others listened, how easily Marcus held their attention. By the afternoon, Ethan knew one thing clearly. This wasn't just about credit. It was about being used, about being seen as someone easy. To step over that evening, Ethan stayed late. The office emptied, lights shutting off one by one. He sat at his desk, staring at his computer screen, scrolling through old files. His work, his ideas, his name quietly missing from places it should have been. Anger settled into determination. He began to look deeper. Dates, access logs, messages. The more he searched, the clearer it became. Marcus had been careful, but not perfect. He had moved things slowly, counting on Ethan's trust to keep him safe. Ethan leaned back in his chair, heart racing. The pieces were there. Not enough yet, but close. A path was forming in his mind, step by step. As the days passed, Ethan changed. He spoke less. He observed more. He listened carefully, storing every word. Marcus noticed the distance, but misread it as stress. "You okay?" Marcus asked one afternoon. "Just tired," Ethan replied. It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the truth either. At home, Ethan started writing things down. Names, times, conversations. Each note felt like adding weight to something. Already heavy. The anger no longer burned wildly. It sharpened. At night, when the city went quiet, doubt crept in. He thought about who he was before this. A man who believed in fairness. A man who trusted people. He wondered what revenge would turn him into. Still, the betrayal echoed louder than the doubt. Marcus hadn't hesitated. Marcus hadn't struggled. He had chosen himself without looking back. Ethan remembered the early days when the project was just an idea and failure felt close. Marcus had promised they would never turn on each other. Ethan had believed him without question. That promise was broken now. One evening, Ethan overheard another conversation. Marcus was speaking to leadership, confident and relaxed, explaining future plans as if Ethan didn't exist. They nodded, impressed. Ethan stood just outside the door, listening, feeling invisible. Something inside him hardened. This wasn't about anger anymore. It was about balance, about making things right in a world that rarely was. As Ethan walked home, that night rain started to fall. He didn't hurry. He let it soak into his clothes, cool against his skin. The city lights blurred, reflections stretching across the pavement. Revenge no longer felt like an idea. It felt like a direction. He didn't know yet how far he would go. He didn't know what the end would look like. But he knew this was only the beginning. And Marcus, still smiling, still confident, had no idea what he had started. Ethan did not rush. That was the first rule he made for himself. Anger pushed him forward, but patience kept him steady. Every morning he walked into the office with a calm face and a busy mind. He watched, listened, and learned. Marcus moved through the space like someone who believed the ground would always hold him up. That confidence became Ethan's guide. The distance between them grew, quiet and sharp. Marcus noticed, but did not worry. He thought Ethan was tired, maybe discouraged. He never guessed the truth. Ethan answered questions with short replies, smiled when needed, and stayed late when others left. He became invisible by choice. At night, Ethan reviewed everything he had gathered. Files told stories. Dates showed patterns. Marcus had shifted ownership slowly, careful not to raise alarms. Ethan saw how trust had been used like a key opening, doors without force. The more Ethan understood, the heavier the weight became. Revenge started as a thought, then turned into a plan. Not a loud one, a precise one. Ethan imagined moments where Marcus would finally see the damage he caused. He imagined the silence after the truth came out. The image gave him energy, but it also scared him. Some nights, Ethan couldn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, questioning his own thoughts. Was this justice, or was it pride? He told himself he wanted fairness, but deep down, he knew pain was part of the desire. That truth made him uncomfortable. During the day, Marcus continued as usual. He spoke in meetings with ease, using ideas that once belonged to both of them. Others praised his vision. Ethan sat quietly, taking notes, feeling each word land like a small cut. He wondered if Marcus ever felt a trace of guilt. If he did, he hid it well. One afternoon, Marcus invited Ethan for coffee. The offer sounded friendly, casual. Ethan agreed. They sat across from each other, cups between them, sunlight streaming through the window. "You've been quiet lately," Marcus said. "Everything." "Okay." Ethan met his eyes. For a moment, he considered ending everything right there. He could say the truth, could expose the lie, but he stayed silent. "Just thinking about what comes next," Ethan replied. Marcus smiled. "Big changes ahead." The words felt loaded. Ethan nodded and said nothing more. As they stood to leave, Ethan noticed how easily Marcus returned to his confident walk. That confidence fueled Ethan's resolve. Back at his desk, Ethan wrote another note. Not about evidence this time, but about himself. He wrote down how the conversation made him feel, the calm anger, the control. He didn't want to lose himself in this. Days turned into weeks. The tension stayed hidden, but strong. Ethan's plan grew clearer, step by step. He knew when reports were reviewed, who checked them, and what questions were asked. One small shift could change everything, yet each step forward came with a pull backward. Ethan remembered a time when Marcus defended him in a meeting when their partnership felt real. He wondered if revenge would erase those memories or twist them into something bitter. Marcus, meanwhile, began to feel something else. Not fear, but pressure. Success brought attention. Tension brought scrutiny. He worked longer hours, double-checking details, protecting what he believed he had earned. In his mind, Ethan had been too slow, too trusting. Marcus told himself that taking control was necessary. Someone had to lead. Late one evening, Marcus stayed alone in the office, reviewing files. He paused, sensing something he couldn't name. A feeling that things were not as secure as they seemed. He dismissed it and kept working. Ethan watched moments like these from a distance. He saw the cracks forming, small but real. He could push now. He could end it soon. The choice rested on his shoulders. At home, Ethan stood in front of the mirror. One night and barely recognized himself. His eyes looked sharper, darker. He asked himself a simple question. What happens after revenge? He didn't have an answer. The next day brought a shift. Leadership announced a review of ongoing projects. Marcus looked surprised but pleased. Ethan felt a surge of energy. This was the opening he needed. Everything he had gathered could now matter. But with the opportunity came doubt. Ethan imagined the fallout. Careers damaged, trust destroyed. He would win, but at what cost? The thought followed him all day. Marcus approached Ethan near the end of the day. His tone was different now, less relaxed. "You've got all the original files, right?" Marcus asked. "Yes," Ethan said. "Just making sure." Marcus replied, forcing a smile. For the first time, Marcus looked unsure. That night, Ethan sat alone, the evidence spread out before him. He could almost hear his own heartbeat. This was no longer a distant idea. It was real close. He thought about walking away, starting fresh somewhere else, letting the past burn itself out. The option was there. But then he remembered the night of the party, the laughter, the confidence in Marcus's voice, the way betrayal had been spoken like a joke. That memory burned away the hesitation. Still, Ethan did not act. Not yet. He realized something important in that moment. Revenge wasn't just about action, it was about control. And for the first time since the betrayal, Ethan felt in control. The waiting became part of the struggle. Each day tested his patience and his morals. He lived between two versions of himself. One who wanted to strike. One who wanted peace. As the review date approached, the air grew thick with tension. Marcus worked harder, smiled less. Ethan stayed calm, focused, steady. Both men felt it. Now, the coming moment. Neither spoke of it. Neither backed away. The conflict was no longer hidden. It lived inside Ethan, pulling him in opposite directions, demanding a choice he could not delay forever. And with every passing hour, that choice grew heavier. The morning of the review arrived without ceremony. No warning, no drama. Ethan woke before his alarm, heart steady, mind clear in a way it hadn't been for weeks. The decision waited for him, heavy but calm, like something already shaped. Outside, the sky was pale, undecided. He dressed slowly, feeling every movement, every breath. At the office, the air felt tight. Conversations were shorter, smiles looked practiced. People sensed something coming, even if they didn't know what it was. Ethan took his seat early, laptop closed, hands resting on the desk. Across the room, Marcus arrived late. His confidence was still there, but thinner now, stretched over nerves he tried to hide. The review began on time. Leadership spoke first, outlining goals, praising progress. Then Marcus stood to present. His voice was smooth, but Ethan noticed small cracks, a pause too long, a slide changed too quickly. Marcus spoke of vision, of growth, of leadership. He spoke as if he stood alone, at the center of it all. Ethan listened without anger. He felt strangely distant, as if watching from outside himself. Each word Marcus spoke brought them closer to the edge. The evidence sat quietly on Ethan's device, waiting. One move would be enough. When questions came, Marcus answered fast, eager to stay ahead. Then one executive asked about the early framework, about origins, about process. Marcus glanced at Ethan for half a second too long. Ethan felt the moment stretch. This was it. He could speak now, calmly, clearly. He could lay out the truth piece by piece. No shouting, no scene, just facts. The room would change, Marcus's face would change. Everything would shift. Ethan's heart beat once, hard. He thought about the nights spent gathering proof, the anger that once filled his chest, the version of himself that wanted to watch Marcus fall. That version still existed, waiting for permission. But another thought rose, just as strong. What would this give him? He imagined the silence after, the looks, the whispers. He imagined winning and still carrying the weight. Revenge would close one door and lock him in another. The executive looked at Ethan. You worked on the early stages, didn't you? The room turned toward him. Ethan stood. Yes, he said. His voice was steady. Marcus watched him closely now, eyes sharp, jaw tight. Ethan could feel every second passing. He could feel the story split into two paths. One where he burned everything down. One where he let go. He chose his words carefully. The project changed a lot over time, Ethan said. It was a team effort. What matters now is where it's going. Marcus exhaled, barely. The executive nodded and moved on. The moment passed just like that. Ethan sat back down, hands calm, pulse even. The decision had been made, not loudly, but fully. He had stepped back from the edge. The meeting ended soon after. People stood talking in low voices. Marcus approached. Ethan, face unreadable. Thanks, Marcus said quietly. Ethan looked at him. Really looked. The man before him didn't look like a winner. He looked tired, guarded. I didn't do it for you, Ethan replied. Marcus nodded, unsure what to say. For the first time, there was nothing confident in his posture, just uncertainty. That afternoon, Ethan cleared his desk. Not everything, just enough. He sent a short email to leadership requesting a transfer. A fresh start. No accusations, no explanations. By evening, the office emptied. Ethan stayed behind one last time, standing by the window where it had all begun. The city lights flickered on, steady and indifferent, life moving forward. Marcus passed by, hesitating. Could have ended me today, Marcus said. Yes, Ethan answered. Why didn't you? Ethan thought for a moment. Because I didn't want to carry you with me anymore. Marcus had no reply. They parted without anger, without closure, without promises. Just two people walking different directions. In the weeks that followed, Ethan felt lighter and heavier at the same time. The anger faded slowly, replaced by something quieter. Acceptance, maybe, or understanding. He had not won in the way revenge promised, but he had not lost himself either. Marcus stayed. His success continued, but it felt different now. He worked harder, trusted less. The confidence never fully returned. In quiet moments, he replayed that meeting, knowing how close he came to losing everything. Justified or not, the truth lingered. Ethan began again elsewhere. New faces, new work. No history attached. Sometimes, late at night, he wondered what would have happened if he had chosen differently. The thought no longer burned, simply existed. He understood now that revenge does not end a story. It extends it. It keeps the wound open, demanding attention. Walking away had hurt, but it had also healed. And in that choice, Ethan found something stronger than revenge. Peace.